Hi, it's Cyndie, the founder of Feminine Mastery, and your host for our Fall Feminine Masters series, Leap into Prosperity, where over 21 of the world's most renowned feminine masters are going to show you how to take a leap into your very own profitable, purposeful, and prosperous business. And today with us, we have a world-renowned, best-selling, and celebrated author. She's a life coach and a very prosperous real estate business owner. She's been featured on numerous news stations and in like as many internet shows as you could possibly imagine. And we have with us today Mel Duane. Welcome, Mel.
Oh, Cyndie, thank you so much. It's an honor to be with you today.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. And as I was reading about you, one of the things that you pride yourself in and specialize in is near and dear to my heart, and I feel at the heart of not just feminine mastery, but absolutely taking this leap into prosperity. And that's how you heal women's hearts and help them develop their self-worth.
Yes, that's the foundation of our success as women, is our self-worth. If we don't have that, we can't leap into that prosperity.
Yeah, and I know that you've personally walked this path and you've helped so many women. And so I want to start by you sharing a little bit about your own personal journey of feminine mastery and maybe a little bit about how you personally took that leap into whatever you consider prosperity to be.
I'd be happy to. Well, from the age of 16 to the age of 41, I abused alcohol terribly, and I was an alcoholic. But in that whole window of time, I always showed up. I appeared, and I use the word appeared, to be successful. I was making money, working, but inside, there was no one. There was no self-worth. There was no self-love. There was constant condemnation. It was just an awful, awful, painful journey. Failed marriage, failed relationships. It was just a vicious cycle. And I finally got to a point one day where I didn't want to go on. I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm burnt out. I'm done. I'm empty. I have nothing left to give or to live for. And that's when I discovered another voice that told me, oh no, you cannot go now. You have too much work to do, too many lessons to learn, and when you master those lessons, you will need to go and help others. And I was like, oh my God, this does not make sense to me. I'm having a massive breakdown. But as I settled down and I started to think about those words, it led me on a different path. It led me on a path of recovery first. I needed to put the alcohol aside. That was never a struggle, which is highly unusual. I just stopped drinking. I did go to meetings, but I never struggled with it again. And what I realized was that I was using a different toolbox now. And it was a toolbox about believing in myself and using a process of faith. And when I say faith, I don't mean in a religious way. I mean in a very spiritual, transformational way. That helped me to create a very successful real estate company. That helped me to create writing a book. And I mean, as a kid, I was told that I had reading problems. I had to do remedial reading classes. So all these things that I believed about myself for so many years, they really weren't true. I discovered that, in fact, I was a very powerful woman, unstoppable once I set my beliefs and took action steps to fulfill those desires, that I could really create anything I wanted. Now, what I also learned in all of that there was nothing special about me. We all have it. As women, we are born with this power and with this gift, but nobody teaches us how to find it. And that's my mission, to teach women how to find that power, how to find that passion, and how to find that purpose.
Yeah, because what I've seen time and time and again in my work is that many women have these, you could call it an addiction, you can call it a diversion, you can call it an unhealthy habit, whether it's, to a substance or a relationship, or just that almost that addiction to belittling ourselves and buying into those lies or false truths. And I've seen how once they find their purpose, that goes away. And so for you, you're such a great example of in your darkest moment, you also received your calling. And
Yes.
so that's, to me, partially why that you were able to let go of that limiting behavior to step into that something greater. So tell us more about, because I know women are going to be fascinated with your story, and I think so many of us sit where we are, and then we have that great desire, receive that calling, and but how do we get from that limited point of that limited self-view or that belittled self-worth to breaking through and taking that leap? Or maybe describe how maybe a little bit of a process even or some steps that women can take.
What I learned about myself, and I think this is true for all women, that we pick up perceptions and beliefs from other people. And it starts when we're very small with our parents. And their truths become our truths. And we carry those through life. And they really may not even apply to us. So it creates a void. It creates a hole in us that something's not right because we're living by somebody else's guidelines. And when we have this void and something's not right within us, we figure, oh, well, alcohol, men, shopping, be overworking will fulfill that void. But nothing that we use really will do that. It's strictly a Band-Aid on a wound. We have to figure out what the wound is. And so that requires a little bit of a shift in the way that we think and do things. We're always looking outside of ourselves for solutions to fix that pain, that loss. What I found was I needed to go inside of me. That's where my best answers were going to come from. So I took my focus and I went within. And I started a meditation practice, just getting quiet, just starting to listen to a different voice within me, a guidance, a higher self that gave me very clear, honest answers about things that I needed to do in my life if I wanted to be a success. And that's the first step in this process, is to let go of all the stuff that we're chasing outside of ourselves. Pull that conversation within. Start to do some self-discovery. Start asking yourself the big questions. What am I doing that's holding me back? What negative patterns do I have that sabotage my success? What thinking, what's going on in my head that is, sabotaging moving forward and creating what I want? And all those answers will come forward. But we have to get quiet. We have to just settle down. And we have to develop a consistency with this practice of self-realization, self-discovery. Now, some people say, oh, I can't meditate. I can't do that. I can't. There's no perfect way to do this, Cyndie. It's a practice. It's got a great name. So it's just showing up and trying. And the more you show up and the more you try, the better you get at it. It's just like any other game in life. It takes a little practice. The rewards of just doing this alone will change any woman's life, help them to create whatever they want. The second step in this process is to stop the resistance and open up to acceptance. If we stop resisting who we are, what we've done, the past, we all have a past, we all have skeletons, we've all experienced pain. If we can stop resisting that, just let it go. I'm not saying that we condone anything that's happened and say, well, oh, it's okay. That's not what this is about. It's about breaking the emotional attachment to it And instead of carrying it around like an old suitcase, leave it at the curb. Those two things will start to open the flow of your intuition and your guidance so that you really can start to create prosperity in your life.
That's so beautiful. And I also heard in the first one, I heard taking responsibility. And so it's, you mentioned, stop looking out here and look within. But also what I've seen is that when we take responsibility, it's a hard one sometimes to swallow, that we have created everything exactly the way it is. But when we can do that, then it's almost like we create an even neutral canvas, a new place to create from. Where if we are stuck in that resistance that you mentioned of, blaming or not wanting to accept or struggling or forcing or not, doing things the same way over and over again instead of really stopping and evaluating and recentering and then recreating from an entirely new different place. So I love that. And so give us some, so from this place, so we're at this new outlook. We've got the, the practice of now going within, listening to ourselves. And so then what? What do you think it really takes for a woman to not just, not just be in the doing or action, but really taking that leap into that next level of prosperity?
Well, I love the image that you just mentioned, a blank canvas, because that's really what every day in our life is. It's a blank canvas. From the moment we get up, we start with a blank canvas. And you can splash and throw whatever you want on that canvas for the next 24 hours. So why not do it with intention? Instead of just allowing things to show up on your canvas that you are not asking for or not inviting, why not be very deliberate about what you want to put on that canvas? And I call that living with intention. And what happens is when you have an intention, for me, it's having the soul of the universe behind that desire. It's much more powerful than a goal. An intention holds your feet to the fire. There's no wiggling out of it like, oh, well, maybe next week. No, an intention, that's it. It is spot on. So to really create good intentions in our life, we need to identify, okay, what do I need to clean up? What do I need to get rid of? What do I need to let go? What particular behavior am I doing right now that I know is not serving me today and is not helping me to grow into becoming the woman that I desire to be? And once you identify those behaviors, then you set your intention. Okay, for instance, for me, I'll give you a perfect example, a personal one. I needed to stop drinking. Once I decided that that's what I needed to stop doing, then my intention was to now start to live in recovery, to now start to take care of my body and nourish it and exercise and have excellent self-care. Those were my intentions. And once I started to do that, game was over. I was off and running. So it's even more powerful than an action step. An intention is a much more soulful commitment to moving your life forward.
Yeah, I love that. It's what I call bringing all of you forth. And so it's not just keeping the best part of you back in the shadow and putting out this goal that sometimes it's not dimensional. It's like words, but the words don't have any substance or weight or the power of you and the soul of the universe. Okay, ladies, how is that for the power of attention? I've never heard that and I love it. So, so aligning with yourself, calling in the soul of the universe to create these intentions. So give us some more. I mean, I love this graceful path you're taking us on. So then what would be next? We've set that intention.
The next thing is we have to start to pay attention to what's going through our minds. And we've got all this good stuff going on now. We're looking within, we're letting go of the past, we're accepting ourselves just as we are today, and we're setting intentions to live deliberately. So now we have to pay attention to those thoughts, those nagging little things that keep showing up and showing up in our mind. And there's been so much written about the power of thought. All we have to do is recognize our negative self-talk. We all have it. And I still have it today. Please believe me, my life is not perfect, but I know how to work it. And so when I catch myself with, oh no, Mel, you can't do that. And what are you thinking? Oh, that's way too big a leap for you. Or you should have done this, or you could have done that. I immediately start tapping myself on the head to break, right on my temple, to break that train of thought. I used to wear an elastic band and snap that, and that would be a really rude awakening. Now I just tap right here, and it just takes me out of that negative state, and I say, okay, what can I think that is more in line with what I want to do here, what I want to create here? All right, I want to do this particular business, and I want to make X amount of dollars. And I start to write down the thoughts and the affirmations for that particular project, what I want to create. So we have to be very, very careful about what we think. And we take it for granted that what goes through our minds, you know, we don't pay attention. We have there's some crazy number of thoughts we have a day, 60,000, 90,000 thoughts a day, something to that effect. Make them good ones. Make them ones that help you grow and support you in your plan to move forward and to build, instead of the thoughts that tear you down and sabotage you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to touch on two things. After the first thing, I want to make sure we go back to self-worth. Mm-hmm. And I want to make supporting what you're saying in such a big way with that. A lot of what keeps a woman from taking the leap is we kind of think that our personal self is over here and our business self is over here, and we just keep pushing the negative thoughts aside or the way we treat our bodies aside and keep pouring more and more into our business or producing or giving to other people. And that's where the disconnect is, and that's when things become overwhelming. You hit burnout, you drain all of your energy, your creativity goes away, or your prosperity and the money you're making, it becomes flatlined. Doing the personal transformation and the business mastery together are so incredibly important. So if you might want to comment on that, and then I want to make sure that we get to self-worth while we have you right here with us.
Well, I think as women, we give too much. We take care of ourselves last. We give to everybody, our families, our children, our partners. In business, we give more of ourselves than what we should. And, you know, airlines tell you, if the plane's going down, put your mask on first, take care of you first. Well, that's not being selfish. That's actually being very smart, because the stronger, the more centered, the better the self-care that you have, the better you take care of yourself, the more you have to give to others. When you're depleted, you're drained, you're overwhelmed, you don't have the same quality of support, focus, business decisions to make, because you are drained. So it is so important to put your self-worth right at the top of that list, and that's self-care. It's massive.
Yeah. And can you tell us, one of the things that I talk about a lot, and one of the things that I set my intention on transforming with women, is guilt. Mm-hmm. And I see such a direct relationship between this guilt phenomenon, this thing we do to ourselves, and the lack of self-worth and self-care. Can you talk about that?
Guilt it's paralyzing. It can keep you in bed and under the covers. I know I lived with guilt and shame for many years. I didn't want to face the day. Guilt is really a figment of our own thinking, because guilt for us is about something that we didn't do right, or we didn't do enough of, or we did wrong. And it's self-judgment. And we need to let go of judging ourselves. That judgment comes from the mind of we have two sides to our mind. I'm going to try to make this simple. We have a side that's very loving, very nurturing, supports us. Then we have this side that's fear-based, it's judgment, it's guilt, it is shame. That's the one we need to shut down. That's the one that you have to say, whoops, enough of that. Guilt does not serve us. It doesn't really exist unless we create it. Somebody else cannot put guilt on us. We do it to ourselves. So if we do it to ourselves, we can remove it as well. Anything we do to ourselves, we can get rid of. We can't control what somebody else does to us. We can only control what we do to ourselves.
Yeah, I'm so in alignment with what you just shared. I say that guilt is not an emotion. It's part of the illusion, and it is an anchor and a weight, and it's a whole cycle of behavior and thought that just will take us down, take us out of whatever game, whether it's the game of life, the game of business. And so what are some self-worth, like even like your favorite affirmations or your favorite practices? How can we rebuild? And if we had that clear canvas of without guilt, how can we embrace our self-worth and really nurture that and make it stronger and have it grow so that it's really truly becomes a part of us?
Well, every day I remind myself that I was put on this earth to live with joy, peace, and prosperity. I was never put here to suffer. God, or whoever you believe, your higher power, Allah, Buddha, Jesus, whatever, did not put us here to suffer. We came here to have a life of joy. So it's our birthright to experience that. Anything that gets in the way, we're allowing it to. So daily, we need to affirm that we are divine human beings with a path of complete, unlimited prosperity and happiness if we choose to claim it. And you can do that through writing affirmations. You can do that through journaling. I love journaling for us because when women journal, they tell the truth. We don't write lies to ourselves. We might be able to speak them to others, put them in a letter, but when you journal, you're putting your soul on paper. You don't lie. And that's where that divine sense of well-being can come through, because that higher guidance, that special voice, that voice of love within your head will come through on paper. It's very reassuring, and it truly expresses why we're here and how much we are supposed to enjoy this lifetime. I'm not saying that we don't get challenges. We're all going to be tested. This is just one big classroom. And there will always be challenges, but each one of those challenges, regardless of how painful they are, they're a lesson. Look for the seed, look for the lesson, look for this. What is that wisdom that you're supposed to take away from something that absolutely is rocking your world, turning you upside down at this moment? What is it that you need to learn from it? And if you look at a challenge that way, gone. All of a sudden, your whole perception and framework changes. What can I learn from this? What can I take away from this? That's empowering. It's not crippling.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. So what I'm getting as kind of, if I try to take in everything you've shared, which is so much, that there are really two realities. And I think what you've shared with us more than ever is how quickly you can change your reality by accepting, embracing, owning whatever you've created, whatever you've manifested. Embrace it fully, take responsibility, all the thoughts, the negativity, whatever you've been living in, and then shift into your truth and begin to start to tell the truth about who you are, what's possible, the reality that is start to carve and create from that clear canvas, that reality that's there for you. And, you know, enjoy the prosperous path that's unfolding with everything that it has to offer, whether it's a challenge or a setback, that you can just regroup, regather yourself, and continue to be on that new path to prosperity. So that's what I'm taking away from your beautiful talk. Is there any, before we get to your free gift and what you want to offer our listeners, is there anything else that you want to share to really complete what you've had to give us today?
There's one more component, Cyndie, and that is that we have to give away what we learn. It's the law of reciprocity, and we're all given unique gifts, wonderful gifts, and we need to share those with others. And when you do that and give away what you know, what you've learned to help others on their journey and their path, the universe gives it back tenfold. So that's helping others. And what I've basically done is taken you through a process of faith, focus, acceptance, intention, thoughts, and helping.
And faith it's one of the themes of this beautiful series that's unfolding. And thank you so much for everything you've had to share. So she's going to describe what she has to give for you, but on her speaker page will be the link to get her free gift, so you don't have to worry about writing down the URL or anything crazy like that. But tell us, what do you have to offer, and what can women expect to receive from your gift?
Well, they'll be getting a class that is on the life recovery formula and an action guide that they can work through and do with the class. And what it does is it shows women how important working on self-worth, self-care, and inner happiness. You work on those three things, you'll master life. You'll create whatever you want. But those are the three pillars that hold us up as human beings: our self-worth, our self-care, and our inner happiness. So the things that we talked about today are all steps that support that entire formula. It's simple, it doesn't cost anything to do it, and it's absolutely transformational. It's life-changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And believe her, believe now, because she has lived it, and this inner game change can make all the difference in the world of your business game, your life game, and all the prosperity that's waiting for you. So thank you, Mel, so much for being with us today.
Bless you. I love what you're doing. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, everybody that joins us, and we will see you on the next Feminine Master interview.